All right, so this is the quiz 7 study guide. Number 1, ask you, what is the graph of the equation? So we've got y equals x squared minus 4x plus 2. So we got to find the vertex. A is equal to 1, B is equal to negative 4, C is equal to 2. Our x at the vertex is equal to the opposite of B divided by 2 times A. So we get the opposite of negative 4 divided by 2. Negative 4 divided by 2. That's negative 2. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So our x at the vertex is positive 2. Then we substitute. So our y is going to be equal to 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 2. So our y at the vertex is equal to negative 2. So now when you graph this, all right, and yours is going to be multiple choice tomorrow, but you're going to need to pick the correct graph. So you're going to have a vertex that's at positive 2, negative 2. So 2, negative 2 right here. It's got an A value of 1, so it's going to be your standard parent graph. And that looked like very similar to this. Okay? So there's the graph of number 1. Problem number 2. Use vertex form to write the equation of the parabola. All right, on number 2, the first thing you have to do is identify the vertex. And the vertex is at negative 3 and 5. Once you identify the vertex, you have to identify a point on the graph. An obvious point on the graph. And the obvious point, I see 2 of them, but the first one that I see is negative 2, 7. All right, so look, since this is the vertex on the left, here's your H and here's your K. Since this is a point on the graph, here's your X and here's your Y. Now, vertex form of an equation is Y is equal to A times X minus H squared plus K. So what you do is you rewrite this equation, substituting the H, the K, the X, and the Y, and you solve for A. Then you can write the equation in vertex form. So we're going to use this 7 for a Y is equal to, we're trying to find A. Our X value is this negative 2 minus our H, which is negative 3, squared plus our K. So now, this 7 is equal to A times, you got inside these parentheses, you got negative 2 minus negative 3. So that's a plus. So you got negative 2 plus 3, which is negative 1. I'm sorry, which is positive 1 squared, which is 1 plus 5. So if you subtract 5 from each side, then 2 is equal to A. So now you're going to use this. You're going to use the A you just found, and you're going to use these points from the vertex, and you're going to write the equation in vertex form. So now we got y equals 2 times x plus 3 squared plus 5. Number three, what is the minimum or maximum value of the function and what is the range? Minimum or maximum value. All right, so we got y equals.
Please excuse the interruption. Mr. Johnson, please report to 23101. Bill Johnson, please report to room 23101.
All right, number 3, since A is positive, the graph goes up, and it's going to have a minimum value. Okay, and then our range is going to be based on the y value at the vertex. So we got to find the vertex. So our x at the vertex is equal to the opposite of b, which is 8, divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 1, which is 2. So our x at the vertex is negative 4. We're going to substitute this now to get our y at the vertex. So we got 2 times negative.
Wait, it's 2A, not 1A.
Yeah, A is 2, not 1.
A is 2. Well, it's the opposite of b divided by 2 times. Oh, I see. Thanks. See, that's what happens when I don't show my work. I make a mistake every dang time. All right, so that makes this 8 divided by 4, which is 2. It makes it negative 2, right? Negative 2. X at the vertex is negative 2. So our y is equal to 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 14. All of that goes into the calculator. And I get negative 22. So our vertex is at negative 2, negative 22. So this graph goes up. So it has a minimum value of negative 22. The range of values, since the graph is going up, when the graph goes up, all of your y values, which are your range, all of your y's, since the vertex is at the bottom, all of your y values are going to be greater than or equal to negative 22. Are y'all with me on that? You got, okay, because on number 4, I'm not going to do the whole problem number 4 again, or not again, but let me just show you something. On number 4, I'm struggling this one. On number 4, you got y equals negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 4. Okay? You're going to identify your A, your B, your C. You're going to find your X at the vertex. You're going to plug it in. You're going to find your Y at the vertex. But now, this graph, number 4, since A is negative, this graph is going to go down. Okay? So it's going to have a max value. The max value is your Y value at the vertex. Okay? Your range. Now, since the graph goes down, your range is going to be Y is less than or equal to whatever your Y value is at the vertex. Okay? So when you do your XY right here, this Y value goes right here, and this same Y value goes right here. But since A is negative, this is less than or equal to. Since A is negative, this is less than or equal to. In the problem before, A was positive, so Y is greater than or equal to. All right, big difference. All right, so 5 and 6, very similar to each other. We're going to take them. This is what you did in class yesterday. What is the vertex form of the equation? Y equals negative 2x squared plus 10x minus 9. A is negative 2, B is 10, C is negative 9. We're going to find the vertex. X at the vertex, opposite of B, divided by 2 times A. So it's going to be the opposite of 10 divided by negative 4. 10 divided by negative 4 is negative 2.5, I believe. So this would all end up being 2.5. So, yeah.
Every time you said something negative,
No, A determines. If A is negative, you're going to have a maximum value because the graph goes down. If A is positive, you're going to have a minimum value because the graph goes up. So our Y here is equal to negative 2 times 2.5 squared plus 10 times 2.5 minus 9. And I get 3.5. Anybody else get that? All right, 3.5. Okay, so here's our vertex, and here's our A. So in vertex form, Y is equal to negative 2 times X minus 2.5 squared plus 3.5. All right, number 6 is the same with different numbers. So your process will be the same. Number 7, identify the maximum or minimum, domain and range of the graph. So you've got y equals x minus 2 squared minus 2. All right, the vertex of this graph is at 2, negative 2. This graph has an a value that's positive. Since this a value is positive, this graph goes up. When the graph goes up, it has a minimum value. It's down at the bottom. So this has a minimum value of negative 2. Y at the vertex is your minimum or maximum value. The domain, those are the x's in this function. You can put in anything you want for x in this function. All right, so this is all real numbers. The domain for all of the equations you're doing this week is all real numbers. Since everything goes up and down, domain is all real numbers. Your range, all right, the graph goes up, so it's y is greater than or equal to negative 2. Number 8. Y is equal to 2 times x plus 2 squared minus 3. Identify the vertex. So the vertex is at negative 2, negative 3. The axis of symmetry, your axis of symmetry is always x equals the x value at the vertex. So x is equal to negative 2. Identify the vertex and the axis of symmetry. That's it. Number 9. Number 9 is asking for the vertex and axis of symmetry. Again, so we've got y equals 2x squared plus 20x minus 10. A equals 2, b equals 20, c equals negative 10. You need the vertex, so your x at the vertex is equal to the opposite of b over 2 times a. So that is negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. So that's your x at the vertex, and then we substitute. Negative 60. All right, so your vertex is at negative 5, negative 60. Axis of symmetry, x equals negative 5. Number 10 is the same, but with different values. Number 11, graph each function. how is the graph a translation of f of x equals x squared? Oh, not this again. I'm not going to be able to write. So what I'm going to try to do is, oh man, I'm going to pause the, now I just got to get back to my whiteboard. All right, I'm going to try to finish this up here. Number 11, graph. I'm hoping you people at home can hear me. Graph each function. How is the graph translation of f of x is equal to x squared? So for number 11, you've got y equals x minus 2 squared. So if you had to graph this, your vertex is going to be at 2, 0. Your a is positive. So if you graph this, you go to 2, 0. And since your a is positive and it's 1, it's going to match the parent graph. So it's going to look very similar to this. Okay? How is the graph a translation of f of x equals x squared? Well, all this did was it moved right 2 units. All right? It moved right 2 units. And we said earlier in the week that this value inside the parentheses determines the translation. And when it's negative, it moves the graph to the right that number of units. So it moved it to the right 2 units. Number 12, we got y equals x squared plus 4. All right. We said earlier in the week that y equals x squared plus 4 is the same as y equals x plus 0 squared plus 4. So this vertex is going to be at 0, 4. The a is 1 again, and it's positive. So it's got the same shape as the parent function, but it's at 0, 4 on the y-axis. Here's your vertex. Your graph is the same as the parent. So there's what the graph will look like. How is each graph translated? Well, this one is translated up 4 units. And in vertex form, what's out here moves the graph up or down directly. What's in here moves the graph left or right, opposite of what's in there. So then you've got number 13. Y is equal to x plus 3 squared minus 1. So vertex here is at negative 3 and negative 1. The A, again, is equal to positive 1. So negative 3 -1. Here's your vertex. A is +1. Again, it's got the same shape as the parent. Describe the translation. Okay, this went left. Mm. Are we on 13? Or did we finish 13? All right, so this went left 3 and down 1. There's your translation from the parent. Number 14. What steps transform the graph of y equals x squared to y equals 3 times x plus 2 squared minus 2? What steps transform the graph? Hello? I'm in the middle of something, so make it fast, please. Yeah, okay, fine. Now, Ellis, they're asking for you in the front office. What steps transform the graph? Okay, so to transform this graph to or of y equals x squared, this thing went, again, inside the parentheses, moves it left or right. So this thing's got to get translated the opposite of what's in there. So it's got to go left 2. Outside the parentheses, moves it up or down. So this has to go down 2. And now this a value, since this a value is greater than 1, that's stretch. A value less than 1 is compression. So this gets stretched by 3. Those are the translations of the parent graph. Your a value. That's in your notes. I think it's from Monday or Tuesday, okay? It'll say something like a greater than 1 is stretch. A less than 1 is compression. Since this is positive, the graph still goes up. If it was negative, you would have to reflect, okay? All right, and then 15 and 16, you've got to graph. So number 15, if you had to graph it, you got f of x is equal to 1/3 x squared. So we got a vertex. Remember, this our vertex. This is the same as f of x is equal to 1/3 x minus 0 squared plus 0. So we got a vertex at 0, 0. All right? This thing's going to be compressed, isn't it? So if you want, and it's going to go up. So if you want the exact values, if your answer choices are very similar to each other, you're going to do an XY table. 0, 0 is the vertex. We're going to pick a point to the right of the vertex, which is 3, and then another point to the right of the vertex. And remember we did some predicting. If we picked 3 as a point to the right of the vertex, 3 squared is 9, and 1/3 of 9 is 3. Okay? So 3, 3 is the next point on this parabola. And then 4 squared, 16, 5. 6 squared is 36, and 1/3 times 36 is 12. So 6, 12 is another point. So here's 6 and 12. And then you can reflect those points. So here and here. So there's your graph of f of x equals 1/3 x squared. Wider than the parent graph. Vertex is at 0, 0. If you need other points on the graph, that's how you're going to find them. And then number 16, you got the graph f of x equals 4x squared, which is the same as that in vertex form. So your vertex is at 0, 0 again. Now, since this A is greater than 1, this thing's going to be stretched. It's going to get vertical fast. So we go to 0, 0. There's your vertex. If you need other points on the graph, your table of values, you've got 0, 0. You can put in a 1 and you can put in a 2. So when you substitute this 1, you got 1 squared is 1 times 4 is 4. And 2 squared is 4 times 4 is 16. So you've got a point at 1, 4. And then another point at 2, 16. So way up here. And then you can reflect those points. So you can see the difference between a 1/3 being in front of the x squared and a 4 being in front of the x squared. This thing gets way taller faster. This is called stretch. And with all that being said and done, that concludes study guide. The study guide for quiz 7. So I'm going to end this Zoom meeting and I will post this video to Focus if you need to see it again between today and tomorrow. So no Zoom meeting tomorrow. We'll resume again on Monday. So you guys at home, make sure you get your quiz taken and submitted. Have a good weekend.